I've brought it up before, and there's so much work and preparation between now and at this point. But going into game number one, game week, you guys will be asking the question. I will be fascinated to hear the response: how coaches are going to motivate players in an empty stadium. That's that dynamic, especially in college football, all sports, but college football, where the crowd plays such a part in the atmosphere, and the volume is going to be just to convey to it's one thing, the players will have the head knowledge. This is just as important as it was last year and the year before. And but just what's pumping through their veins and that adrenaline rush that's going to be void to a certain extent, that's going to be fascinating for me to watch.
Yeah, we don't know at this point. It seems unlikely that they'll play in front of a full stadium. Maybe at least early in the season, maybe by the end of the season, some of the restrictions, if the flow of the disease has been, or the virus has been curtailed, and it's not as contagious a situation in November as it is in September, then perhaps they can increase the capacity. Honestly, I don't think we know yet. I think there's so much at stake here for all these coaches and all these athletes. It's the coaches' salaries, it's the athletes' scholarships. And I think that any way that they can try and play is wonderful. What we're seeing with baseball right now is you have a season that's been chopped in half. So a guy who was supposed to make 20 million is now only, theoretically going to make 10 million. But what the owners are saying is 40% of our revenue, and this was a similar thing to what Gene Smith told us, I think, on one of the calls, 30 to 40% of their revenue comes from the tickets, the concessions, the parking, the memorabilia, everything that's purchased at the stadium, the merchandise. So you take that out of the equation, and just throwing back my baseball thought again, a lot of people want to demonize the owners. And in this case, I think they have a valid argument that that guy who's now, if they only play half the season, is supposed to make 10 million. 4 million of that's unfunded because I've lost out on all the live gate revenue. He should only be making 6 million. So the same principle comes back to college athletics. Not that we're paying the players 10, 6, or $4 million. It's just the overall funding of the athletic budget. Ohio State's got a $200 million budget, and you take out those millions each of those 7 Saturdays where there's no tickets and there's no parking, concessions, and memorabilia and merchandise and programs and all that stuff, then what are you left with? Are you left with enough to where you can fully fund the coaching staffs, the support staff, and all of the scholarships, which they pay dollar for dollar? If the list price on Justin Fields' out-of-state scholarship is $25,000 or whatever, they pay dollar for dollar for that every year. So a lot to be considered there. My guess is there'll be a lot of people laid off within the athletic department. You wouldn't need event staff, at least to the degree that you would if you were having 105,000 people. You wouldn't need ticketing people, et cetera, and so on. Those people would be put on hiatus until you have live events. So I don't know. I think, again, the first hurdle is just agreeing that we're going to have a season. How are they going to prepare for the season? And then how are you going to present the season, either with fans or without, just for television? How's that going to work? And I don't think that we, and Ohio State's in a tough bind here because the president, Michael Drake, is a lame duck, and he should have been already out the door. He was going to retire at the end of the spring semester, which is already come and gone at the end of April. And he's kind of left to ride out through this transition of getting back onto campus and, whatever. In the past, I know when they've had presidents leave, the number 2 person, whoever that is, the provost or whoever that is, has kind of stepped in as the acting president. And I haven't seen anything like that happen. I don't want to say it's a vacuum of leadership right now at Ohio State, but, is he going to be comfortable making decisions that, could put people in harm's way. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be in a real hurry to make a decision and have his legacy be that he brought football guys back on campus and 40 of them caught COVID. I don't know. And I again, just speaking off the top of my head, just throwing it out there. I don't know. So I guess we'll take each day as it comes. The problem is there's no college football commissioner. Mark Emmert from the NCAA said this is something that will be determined by local governments, universities, conferences on their own. We cannot mandate you're going to play on this date or everyone's going to start working out on this date. It is by its very nature a piecemeal operation. The only thing, I mean, they lightly govern over football, basically agreeing to set this is the date of the first game, this is the date of the last game, these are the dates you'll play bowl games, these are your recruiting rules, these are what you can have on your staff, and that's kind of their overseeing of football right there in a nutshell. They really don't get involved in the nuts and bolts too much, and now we're left with a lot of nuts and bolts all over the country making decisions about when they're going to piecemeal return to college football.